Imagine this. You're walking through a dense jungle, the air thick with humidity, when suddenly you stumble upon a massive stone pyramid, towering above the trees, carved with strange glyphs you can't understand. But here's the chilling part. No one knows who built it, no one knows why it's there, and the civilization responsible has completely vanished, as if it never existed. History books like to pretend the past is neatly organized. Empires rise, empires fall, and we can explain why. But the truth? Some entire civilizations have simply disappeared. No warning, no survivors, no clear explanation, just ruins and questions that haunt us centuries later. The world is littered with ghost civilizations. The Maya, who abandoned their sprawling cities of stone and jungle temples. The Indus Valley people, whose advanced plumbing and urban design vanished into dust without a single word written about their fate. Even the mysterious builders of Nan Madol, who constructed a city of black basalt rocks on the ocean, stones so heavy scientists still can't explain how they were moved. And here's where things get creepy. Many of these lost civilizations didn't just decline. They vanished abruptly, almost violently, as if erased. Some say it was famine. Others whisper about plagues, wars, or catastrophic climate shifts. But there are also stranger theories. Mass ritual suicides, cosmic disasters, even alien involvement. What makes these vanishings even darker is that they leave us with a terrifying possibility. What if entire societies can disappear overnight, and our modern world is no exception? In this video, we're diving deep into the eerie mysteries of civilizations that vanished without a trace. We'll uncover their bizarre achievements, the haunting ruins they left behind, and the chilling theories about their sudden disappearance. From jungles that swallowed empires whole, to stone cities in the middle of the sea, to cultures erased from memory as if they never lived at all, these are the shadows of history. And by the end, you'll realize the scariest part isn't that they vanished, it's that we could be next. To understand the mystery of civilizations that disappeared, we need to first step back and ask, what exactly does it mean for a civilization to vanish? It doesn't mean every person dies. Sometimes populations migrate, disperse, or merge into neighboring cultures. But the civilization, the language, the rituals, the city planning, the very identity, disappears so thoroughly that history struggles to explain what happened. It's as if a candle flame was snuffed out, leaving behind only smoke and silence. Take the Indus Valley civilization, one of the earliest cradles of human society. Around 2600 BCE, they built vast cities with advanced sewage systems, grid-like streets, and even standardized weights and measures, long before most of the world even dreamed of such things. Yet by 1900 BCE, their cities were abandoned. No records, no stories, no monuments describing their fall. The very script they left behind remains undeciphered, like a locked door to a vanished world. Then there's the Maya. For centuries, their towering pyramids, sprawling cities, and intricate calendars dominated Central America. But around 900 CE, many of their great urban centers, like Tikal and Capan, were mysteriously deserted. The jungle devoured their stone temples, burying them under layers of vines and silence. Archaeologists suspect drought, famine, or constant warfare. But no single explanation is certain. Imagine millions of people just walking away. But the most unsettling vanishings are the ones that feel almost supernatural. Consider Nan Madol, the so-called Venice of the Pacific. Built on a coral reef off the coast of Micronesia, this ancient city is composed of
250 million tons of basalt rock, stacked like giant Lego blocks to form walls, temples, and canals. Some of the stones weigh 50 tons, yet the builders had no metal tools or cranes. Who built this city? How did they transport the stones across the ocean? And why was it suddenly abandoned? Even local legends whisper of curses that killed off its rulers. The fascination with these stories isn't just academic, it's psychological. Humans crave certainty. We want neat endings to the tales of the past. But lost civilizations confront us with the unknown. They remind us that entire societies, no matter how advanced, can collapse into mystery. And the eerie ruins left behind act like tombstones, taunting us with questions we can't answer. History also teaches us something darker. Disappearance isn't rare. Even powerful empires, Rome, the Khmer Empire, the Olmecs, have collapsed, often violently, often unexplainably. And if entire cultures with sophisticated governments, armies, and technologies could vanish, what does that mean for us? It means we are fragile. It means no matter how advanced we think we are only ever a drought, a plague, a war, or a disaster away from becoming the next ruin in the jungle. And that is why stories of lost civilizations don't just entertain us, they haunt us. They are warnings written in stone, whispering that survival is never guaranteed.
The Anasazi, ghosts of the American Southwest. In the dry canyons of the American Southwest lie massive stone dwellings carved into cliffs and canyons, homes of the ancestral Puebloans, also called the Anasazi. These people flourished for centuries, building intricate cliff cities like Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon. But around 1300 CE, they were gone. Entire villages abandoned, pottery left behind, homes still intact, yet no people. Why did they vanish? Archaeologists point to prolonged droughts and food shortages, but there are darker hints, evidence of violence, massacres, and even cannibalism in some remains. Were they wiped out by war, driven to desperate acts, or did they migrate en masse and dissolve into other tribes? No one knows. But the eerie silence of their cliff cities feels like walking through a ghost town where time itself froze. The Minoans, the civilization drowned by the sea. On the island of Crete, the Minoans thrived between 2000 and 1450 BCE, crafting art, trade networks, and stunning palaces like Knossos. They were so advanced, some legends even claim they inspired the myth of Atlantis. But then, their civilization collapsed in what feels like an apocalyptic ending. Around 1600 BCE, a massive volcanic eruption on the island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, unleashed one of the largest explosions in human history. Tsunamis, ash clouds, and famine swept across the Mediterranean. Some scholars believe this natural disaster destroyed their cities, shattered their trade, and left them vulnerable to conquest. But here's the chilling part. Even with such evidence, the final disappearance of the Minoans is still clouded in mystery. Did the seas swallow them? Did they scatter across other lands? Or did they vanish into myth itself? Cahokia, America's forgotten metropolis. In Illinois, just across the Mississippi River from modern-day St. Louis, lies the remains of Cahokia, a massive city of earthen mounds that, at its peak around 1100 CE, was larger than London. Tens of thousands lived there, building massive ceremonial structures and trading across North America. But by 1350, Cahokia was abandoned. No epic war, no devastating plague that we know of, just emptiness. Archaeologists suspect deforestation, overpopulation, and climate change strained resources until collapse became inevitable.
But there's also a strange silence in native oral histories about Cahokia, as if the city was intentionally forgotten. What happened there that was so terrible it was erased from memory? The lost city of Petra, abandoned by its people. Petra, hidden in the deserts of Jordan, is one of the most breathtaking lost cities in the world. Carved directly into rose-red cliffs, it was once the thriving capital of the Nabateans, controlling vital trade routes of incense and spices. But by the 7th century CE, Petra was deserted. Historians blame shifting trade routes and earthquakes, but the scale of abandonment remains haunting. Travelers rediscovered it centuries later, wandering through silent, empty temples and tombs carved into stone, wondering how an entire civilization could vanish and leave behind nothing but rock and whispers. The Rapa Nui of Easter Island, the culture that collapsed itself. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, is infamous for its towering stone statues, the moai. But behind their silent stone faces lies a tragic tale. When Polynesian settlers first arrived, the island was lush with forests. Over centuries, they cut down trees to move the statues, built canoes, and sustain life. By 1600, the island was deforested. No wood for boats, no trees for shelter. Soil eroded, food dwindled. The society collapsed into famine, conflict, and possibly cannibalism. Here, the disappearance wasn't sudden, it was a slow unraveling. But it's perhaps the most chilling of all. A civilization that destroyed itself by exhausting its resources, a mirror to what many fear could happen to us today. These cases, the Anasazi, the Minoans, Cahokia, Petra, and the Rapa Nui, show us just how fragile civilizations can be. Droughts, volcanoes, resource depletion, shifting trade, all natural and human forces capable of erasing entire societies. But here's the unsettling part. These are only the first layer of the story. Because some civilizations don't just fade, they vanish in ways that defy explanation. And those are the ones that truly keep historians awake at night.
Now let's move from the possible explanations to the vanishings that seem to defy reason, where the evidence is thin, the ruins are strange, and the stories feel like something out of a nightmare. Island Nan Madol, the city built on the ocean. Off the coast of Micronesia lies Nan Madol, an ancient city floating on the sea. It was constructed from massive basalt stones, some weighing up to 50 tons, stacked to form canals, temples, and tombs. The site is so unusual it's been nicknamed the Venice of the Pacific. But here's the eerie mystery. No one knows how the stones got there. Local legends say they were moved by magic, carried by giants, or levitated by chance. Archaeologists can't fully explain it. And stranger still, the civilization that built Nan Madol seemed to vanish without record. There's no detailed history, no clear reason for abandonment, only whispers of curses that killed its rulers. Standing there today, you feel as if the ocean swallowed an entire world and left behind only black stone bones. Now the Olmecs, the people of the colossal heads. Before the Maya or Aztecs, the Olmecs thrived in Mesoamerica around 1200 BCE. They carved gigantic stone heads, each weighing several tons, with hauntingly human features. These heads remain scattered in jungles like silent sentinels. But beyond these stone monuments, the Olmecs left little behind. No written records survive, and by 400 BCE, their civilization had vanished. Did they merge into later cultures? Were they destroyed by disease or famine? Or did something darker occur? Ritual collapse, mass migration, or extermination by rivals? Their sudden disappearance, combined with those massive stone heads staring out across empty jungles, Feels like the setup to a horror story we'll never hear the ending of. The Hittites, an empire erased overnight. The Hittites were once a superpower of the Bronze Age, rivals of Egypt, controlling vast territories in Anatolia. They mastered iron, built massive fortresses, and wrote detailed treaties. And then, around 1200 BCE, they were gone. The capital, Hattusa, was burned and abandoned. Records stopped abruptly. The empire simply collapsed, part of the broader Bronze Age collapse that also erased the Mycenaeans and other ancient powers. What caused it? Invasions from mysterious sea peoples? Climate catastrophe? Systemic revolt? The Hittites didn't just weaken, they disappeared so completely that later Greeks and Romans barely remembered they existed at all. For centuries, their empire was a ghost, forgotten until archaeologists uncovered its ruins in the 20th century. Imagine being so erased from memory that history itself forgets you existed. The Nabteplaya people, a civilization older than Egypt. Deep in the Sahara Desert lies Nabteplaya, a prehistoric ceremonial site dated to around 5000 BCE, older than Stonehenge, older than the pyramids. Its builders aligned stone circles with the stars, suggesting an advanced understanding of astronomy. But who were they, and where did they go? There are no cities, no texts, no descendants claiming their heritage. Some scholars suggest they were precursors to early Nile civilizations, but others whisper stranger ideas, that their knowledge of the stars came from unknown sources. All we know is that they built one of the world's first astronomical monuments, and then vanished, leaving only stones pointing at the heavens. The Roanoke colony, a modern ghost civilization. Not all vanishings are ancient. In 1587, over 100 English settlers established the Roanoke colony in what is now North Carolina. 3 years later, when supply ships returned, the settlement was empty. No bodies, no signs of battle, just a single word carved into a tree: Croatoan. Were they absorbed by native tribes, wiped out by disease or starvation? Did they flee somewhere else? Or was something more sinister at play? The disappearance of Roanoke has become one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries, a chilling reminder that even in recent history, entire communities can vanish without a trace. These cases, Nan Madol, the Olmecs, the Hittites, Nabteplaya, and even Roanoke, push the mystery into darker territory. Unlike civilizations that slowly declined, these vanishings feel abrupt, unsettling, and, in some cases, almost supernatural. And here's the terrifying truth. The silence of these ruins isn't just historical. It's a mirror, a reminder that our cities, our nations, even our empires could one day crumble into whispers, leaving future generations asking the same question we ask of them. How can something so vast simply disappear?
Consequences and lessons. When we talk about lost civilizations, it's easy to treat them like ghost stories, creepy legends from long ago. But here's the unsettling part. Every disappearance leaves behind a warning. These aren't just mysteries of the past, they are survival lessons written in ruins. Earth Lesson 1. Nature always wins. Again and again, we see how droughts, floods, and eruptions crushed civilizations. The Anasazi were undone by drought. The Minoans may have been destroyed by a volcanic eruption. The Maya struggled through famine and shifting rainfall patterns. These stories remind us that no matter how advanced we think we are, nature can erase everything in a single generation. Today, we live in climate-controlled homes and globalized cities. But what happens if the systems we rely on, water, food, fuel, fail? The lost civilizations show us that survival depends on adapting quickly. Those who didn't adapt disappeared. Lesson 2. Human conflict is self-destructive. The ruins also whisper another dark truth. Humans often destroy themselves. The people of Easter Island cut down every tree until their world collapsed. The Hittites and their neighbors may have been wiped out in a storm of wars and raids. Even Cahokia, with its vast population, may have collapsed under the weight of its own social tensions. When resources run low, cooperation breaks down. Neighbors become enemies, wars erupt, and history shows that when societies turn inward and devour themselves, they don't fade gently, they vanish violently. Lesson 3. Memory can be erased. Some civilizations, like the Olmecs or the Hittites, weren't just destroyed, they were forgotten. For centuries, their names weren't even remembered, their achievements buried under soil and silence. This raises a disturbing question. If entire civilizations can be erased from memory, how much of our own past has already been lost? And how easily could our story be erased if future generations forget us? Think about it. In just a few hundred years, skyscrapers could crumble, digital data could vanish, and our world could look as mysterious as Nan Madol does to us. Lesson 5. Hubris is dangerous. Perhaps the most chilling lesson is pride. Every lost civilization believed at its height that it was invincible. The Maya built calendars predicting time itself. The Minoans dominated the seas. The Nabateans carved entire cities into stone. But no matter how strong they seemed, they fell. And that's the scariest part. We're no different. We believe technology makes us untouchable. We trust our cities, our governments, our systems to protect us. But so did they. Every lost civilization is a mirror, showing us what happens when pride blinds us to fragility. Lesson 6. Vanishing can happen quickly. The Roanoke colony proved something terrifying. Disappearance doesn't always take centuries. Sometimes it takes only a few years. A community can be thriving one season and gone the next. That thought should chill us, because it means collapse isn't some distant apocalypse. It's something that can happen suddenly, before anyone realizes. Why it matters today? The ruins of lost civilizations aren't just archaeological sites. They're warnings carved in stone. They tell us no society is permanent. Collapse isn't rare, it's common. And survival depends on humility, adaptability, and memory. Maybe that's why we're obsessed with these mysteries. Deep down, we sense that history doesn't just belong to the past. It's circling back, staring us in the face, asking one terrifying question. Will we learn from the civilizations that vanished, or will we join them?
From the cliff dwellings of the Anasazi to the drowned palaces of the Minoans, from the colossal stone heads of the Olmecs to the forgotten empire of the Hittites, one truth echoes louder than the ruins themselves. Nothing lasts forever. Civilizations vanish. Sometimes it's drought, sometimes war, sometimes their own mistakes, and sometimes it's a silence so complete but even archaeologists can't explain it. These disappearances remind us of something most of us would rather forget. The world doesn't owe us survival.
Our cities, our technology, our progress, they feel permanent, but they're fragile. A single disaster, a single war, even a slow burn of environmental collapse, and what we think is invincible could become the next mystery. 1,000 years from now, could future explorers walk through the skeletal remains of our skyscrapers and ask, who were these people, and why did they disappear? That thought should disturb you, but it should also fascinate you, because lost civilizations aren't just about death, they're about memory. Every ruin, every broken monument, every abandoned stone is a message, a warning carved into time. So the next time you hear about the Mayas' deserted cities, or the eerie stone canals of Nan Madol, or the word Croatoan scratched into a tree, remember, history isn't just the story of survival, it's the story of disappearance. And we are still writing our chapter. The question is, will we leave behind wisdom or just ruins? What do you think? Were these vanishings caused by natural disasters, human greed, or something even stranger? And more importantly, could it happen to us? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep exploring the darkest corners of history, psychology, and survival, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join me as we uncover more hidden truths. Because sometimes the past doesn't stay buried.